Hello, everyone. I wish you a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are watching us from. And we greet you from the beautiful country of the Southern Africa, Mozambique. My name is Melanie C Houana, and I'm here with our today's guest, Simione C Mhula. But before we give him the floor, I'd like to give you a perspective so you know what we are going to talk about today. It's important to know that unfortunately Mozambique has one of the highest rates of early unions in the world, affecting almost 1 in every 2 girls, and unfortunately as well has the second highest rate in the Eastern and Southern Africa region. Sub-region, I mean. So we are here to talk about this problem that is unfortunately affecting so many children in our country and in Africa. And right now, let's all glad to our today's guest, Simione C Mhula. You have the floor.
Thank you, Melanie. And hi, everyone. My name is Simione C Mhula, and I'm the Child Protection and Social Accountability Technical Manager for World Vision Mozambique. And thank you to everyone who are watching us.
Thank you for accepting our invite. So right now, I'd like to know a little bit, or before we go on our discussion about this huge problem, would you tell us a little bit what your organization does?
Well, World Vision is a Christian organization, and apart from being a Christian organization, it's an organization that aims to ensure that the child well-being is preserved and promoted at ground level, which means from the ground level up to the national level. So we have been mostly focusing in ensuring that parents and caregivers are actors who help children, who support children at household level, community level, school level, and even when it comes to service delivery, we kind of make sure that the services that are provided by government entities and some other private entities are child-friendly services that can be accessed by any child at any time.
We already know that Mozambique has so many problems when it comes to children, but could you give us a general overview about the status of child protection in Mozambique, and what are the main concerns around children in our country?
Well, one of the things that I would like to start with is the fact that Mozambique is a disaster-prone country, which means we've been, kind of hit by disasters year after year. So, and that's one of the main constraints when it comes, or challenges when it comes to child protection, or to issue, when it comes for us to ensure children are protected from various child protection incidents. But then, apart from that, we have a man-made disaster, which is our Campo Delegado insurgency or terrorism, which has been hitting quite a number of children in that particular province. But then, and also making our efforts kind of dropping down the investment that we've been putting in place in order to ensure that every child in Mozambique has their rights respected and their protection from any kind of child protection incident. One of our flags in Mozambique as World Vision has been child marriages. We've been interacting with a lot of national, provincial, and district stakeholders when it comes to prevention of child marriage, and then we've been also engaging the governments and some other coalitions that are working in order to make sure we address this child marriage issue. But then, not because we are one of the most affected by child marriage, but that we are not doing only because of that, but then because we understand that it is a very critical issue that we need to address. And apart from addressing the child marriage, we've been also doing a lot in order to make sure VAC-related issue, which is violence against children-related issues, are also addressed. And we have quite a number of technical programs which are sort of linked somehow. We have a child protection technical program, and apart from child protection technical program, we have livelihoods, and we have education, and we also have WASH and health and nutrition. And from within this child protection audit, within this technical program, we kind of have a lot of intervention that are aiming to create an enabling environment for that issues to be addressed properly.
I like what you said, addressing issues concerning children. And we already know that Africa is a traditional continent, as well as Mozambique is a traditional country. And somehow cultural habits have been pointed out as some of the challenges behind child unions and violence against children. So how exactly cultural habits can be a problem or can become a problem?
Well, we have been getting we have a sort of a living style in Africa, or not only in Africa, but now that we are in Africa and in Mozambique specifically, we have cultural beliefs that somehow they at some extent they are child are not child sensitive somehow. Now, for example, when it comes to child marriage, if you go to the ground level, if you go to the communities, you ask people about child marriage was never an issue. Because, marrying a child, for example, an orphan who has no father, has no mother, has no relative at all, and she's poor, if you marry her, you are making her a slave. That's what people believe. But then you have also another part of it, which is children are not allowed to be sitting around the table and contribute like any decision-making processes or concerning the household, and even concerning her all lives. Like you are going to be married with Mula. You're going to be marrying Mula. So how do you go about that? No, children were never given that floor to make this sort of decisions. These decisions were made by their parents, because their parents are the one that are the owners of these children. So this is one of the issue that is one of the point where culture can become a sort of harm to children. But then we have some other cultural elements or practices that have been with AI, living with us as normally. So one of those are related to initiation rights, for example. Initiation rights is a ground or is a platform, is a cultural platform where children are taught how to take care of themselves. But then there is another piece of it, which is how to please a woman, how to please a man. Then from that point of view, If, for example, and the sign that a child is prepared to engage or to embark into this sort of activity is when she has her first menstruation. Then, with this development, people have access to food, they have access to good life, to good healthcare. Children of sort of 8, 9 years old or 10 years old are now having menstruation cycle started. Then when you look at the initiation rites, it becomes a harm to children because you will be taking children who are not even adolescent to initiation rites. And then you are harming them because we're giving them information that is not child-friendly. And, it's a necessary information. It's important information. It's necessary for our development. But then the time or the time that this information is handed to a child is not proper. So that's when cultural practices become harmful to children.
Okay, that's very interesting. And since we are talking about child participation, and we understand that child participation is a very important, first of all, right, and as well as civil society and the government, they have to ensure that children participate. I want to know exactly how did the child parliament play a role in ensuring that children are protected from violence, including area unions?
Yeah, one of the things that supported the civil society organization, because we sort of understood that together we are strong, but together being strong was not enough because we needed to have a ground where children by themselves they shout out loud about what has been happening with them. So one of the things is that we came out with this child parliament and the aim was for us to make sure, apart from the government hearing people, growing old people like myself, going and engaging the government, we wanted them to hear the cry from the children. Because, we and then there is a saying in child protection which says, everything about us without us is against us. Okay. You will never be sensitive to a situation where you will never be quite as sensitive to a situation that you have never been subjected to. You want to wear my heels and work my work so that you feel what I felt when working. So we wanted to have children, and one of the thing that we did was creating this child parliament, creating child forums at national level, like kind of girls conferences, boys conferences, child parliament at all grounds, at all levels, and these child parliaments were able to create a sort of, or to develop a sort of petitions and submit it to the government and engaging the government, engaging the parliamentaries, engaging the civil society organization, and urge them to take a stand about what these children were submitting or submitting to the government. And those were the actions that we thought, okay, the child parliament would be a very valuable ground or forum for us to be working with.
Okay. So since together we are stronger, and I like that you said that, I know that there is a coalition made up by civil society organizations to drive and change when it comes to early unions. So I want to know, how did World Vision play its role?
Well, if you're talking about SECA, then our role was very important because we kind of we were one of the organizations that funded, like, created the setup forum, because we understood that we needed to have a common ground, a common understanding about child marriage, and we wanted to come together. Everybody was doing everything that everybody could do, but then there were no coordination about when and how to engage. For example, I would go as World Vision and engage the parliamentaries, like the MPs, and with the MPs would have a kind of a result and get back to my office and start doing things, But then this was never enough, because we were just pieces. We had pieces of results that together would be very much bigger than they were. So we kind of thought, okay, let us put ourselves together and join efforts and go for a common objective. Like, what are we aiming to do as civil society organization? With regards to child marriage, for example, we wanted to make sure we had a law that criminalized child marriage. And then by having this law that criminalized child marriage, we came together and we developed a sort of action plan with clear rules and responsibilities. But apart from that, advocacy efforts are cost related. Okay. Then came the second piece of it. Okay, we are now happy because we have the forum, we have people to coordinate or to engage with each other. We have our meetings scheduled. We have our meeting with the MPs scheduled, with the government scheduled. But then, how do we do about the cost-related side of it? And then we sat down and said, okay, everybody in every single civil society organization that we are part of, let us put budget lines that will enable us to fund these interventions. For example, when it came to child marriage law, we sort of came out with the budget, and then everybody took a piece of that budget and say, these I'm going to fund. These I have money to fund. And then in the end of the day, we were all putting a bit of our budget in the same basket. And in the very end of the day, the budget was huge for us, was enough for us to go and engage and make sure consultancy were hired, people were hired in order to make sure these documents were developed. So, this is how we did when we are regarding the setup issue.
So I'm very happy to see that besides the challenges that civil society faces, we can actually see so many results. And one of them is what you mentioned, the law. How did the law bring change to children that were once victims of early unions?
Yeah, one of the main point to celebrate here is the fact that people got an opportunity to understand that child marriage is a crime. Mm-hmm. Child marriage is not an appropriate behavior towards a girl child, right? And now, for example, that we have the law which is being implemented, people say, like, wow, thought this was normal. But then, it is not that normal, because it raised awareness. It gave people the glimpse of what kind of damage parents and caregivers, faith leaders, traditional leaders were doing to children. So this is one of the main things that I think we celebrate when it comes to child marriage law. But then, apart from giving this awareness to community members, to parents and caregivers, it brought an understanding, a sort of safety and confidence to these children that were subjected to this child marriage, that somebody cares about them. And not only them felt that what they have been going through was wrong, but somebody else felt that too. And this is especially for those donors who have been putting their money into this. I think they have these to celebrate, because people or children are feeling, by having this child marriage law, children are feeling that not only themselves, the damages or the harm or the pain of being subjected to a child marriage with an old man that they have never thought that they would be subjected to, and having, it's a balloon of oxygen when you are looking for it. For example, you are deep down in the sea, and you dive, and your oxygen is out, and then you were looking for oxygen for you to breathe. Then it came as a balloon of oxygen for these children, because they were suffering.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to once again congratulate the civil society as well, the government, but most importantly, World Vision, the donors, for all the work and the efforts that have been putting to ensure that children do not suffer from violence. And I actually understand that it's not only about the law against early unions, but we have also the family law and World Vision as well, the coalition that we talked about, advocated for the review to ensure that children are actually protected and they feel that. And there are also other examples, for instance, the Mozambique's voluntary national review agenda 2030, and during which participating children and youth made the case for improved protection in disaster as well, and the Children Manifesto. And I'm very happy to hear about that, signed by some of the country's main political parties ahead of the last elections. Would you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, there was, it came as it was a God-given thought, like idea, because we thought, okay, we want to make sure every single political party that is running for election has in their agenda, on top of their agenda, children from this country. So one wanted them to hear from these children what were their priorities when it comes to political parties, when it comes to presidential or mayors or whatever candidate that was running at that moment. And we thought, okay, let us put together a child parliament and all child advocate members that exist at national, provincial, and district levels. Let us put them together and give them means for them to collect information, for them to conduct analysis and put together priorities that are coming from these children. And one of the things that makes us proud is that one of the documents was received by the Pope when Pope came to Mozambique, to visit Mozambique. We were able to give a booklet containing the top priority issues that children from Mozambique were pointing out like we need these to be considered within the next government term. So this was one of the things that I think even the children that participating into this process, where they must be proud of it, because it is a very good initiative, and it's a very good opportunity, because we need these child advocates to be having the voice of those who don't have voice, because they are far away from the media, are far away from the civil society organizations, are far away from government entities, cannot access to government entities and tell them what they really need, what are their expectation when it comes to government. So we wanted to make sure we had a child manifesto, and the child manifesto was developed and was given to political parties for them to consider those top priorities that were indicated by children.
That's really interesting, because we can actually see that we are not only ensuring that children do not suffer from violence or early unions, but we are actually forming future leaders, future change makers, future people that in the future can fight for them, and even in the present can fight for them. So since we are talking about change makers, I know that there is a platform called Citizen Voice and Action, and that has been contributing particularly to fighting early unions in the most vulnerable communities. So how do you link all these actions we have been discussing so far with the campaign It Takes a World to End Violence Against Children, especially in the fight against early unions?
Well, the CVA is an acronym these days, Citizen Voice and Action, which is a social accountability methodology, which is a local network advocacy, sort of it. And one of the values that you can get from implementing CVA is that you have people from around the level having opportunity to evaluate how well, how friendly, how good, how necessary are the services that are being provided to them at that level. And from that process, they are also able to make sure they sit down with service providers, government service providers, and discuss what sort of services they need, and according to the minimum standards, because all the ministries here in Mozambique, they in 5 years they produce a sort of service provision standards, which we call it minimum standards. For example, it should be a school, a primary school in Mozambique. What elements are necessary for this to be considered a primary school, a secondary school, a health unity, a hospital, rural hospital, a health facility, a kind of provision helper. What kind of services are there for us to say this is a rural health facility? So these people from the ground level are given access to these documents, explained about how to measure, how to read them, how to measure them, and how to interface with service provider. But then there is a point where we do it with children. There is a side where we do it with children, which is CVA for child protection, for example. This one we do with children. And from that moment that we do with children, then children start all the support services for victims of child abuse or child marriages have been pointed by children that they are necessary at the ground level, because they are not there. You get there at district level sometimes, but then if you don't get there here, then you get there at provision level. So for somebody who is very, very in a very, very critical situation, like a vulnerable situation, it's very difficult for them to, from the ground level, to go up to the provision level and get access to these sort of services. Then, so and from that moment, these issues that are brought up at this level are taken to the provincial level. And we've been working with provincial assemblies, which is a sort of provincial parliament. So we have been working with them. They are the one collecting and using all those documents or information that are produced or collected at ground level, informs the speeches, the policies, and so on and so forth at provincial level. But there is a other stage where these very same documents or information are used to inform the policies, the decisions at national level, because the National Assembly is working with the CVA committees when they are going for field work, for example, like visiting the suburb and povoados and so on and so forth. They go and engage with these CVA committees, and the CVA committees have all the documents and information that these MPs are looking for at that particular moment. That's where we link the ground level up the national level, which means the local level advocacy with the national level advocacy are linked. That does not necessarily mean that World Vision is playing a role there. We've been playing our role in ensuring that our National Assembly buys or adopts the CVA methodology for them to do their visit and see how well the policies are being implemented at these levels. Now that we have done that, our national level advocacy also as World Vision has been flagged by a CVA sort of informations and documents that are being produced with and even the need of certain services has been brought up by these committees and inform the national level advocacy for us to support and support the community and take their voice and hand it over to the government, because we are working with them. We're partnering with the government at this level, ministries and so on and so forth. So we take this and give to them. So this has been an exchange of information, a partnership with the community that has been bringing for us a very huge value. A very huge value, because even for the approval of the child marriage law, the CVA committees played a very huge, a very important role, because they were bringing issues that were brought up at the ground level, and they were feeding the system at this level so that we could have a ground for us to say, okay, we stand for this, because this came from that and that and that particular location, so we are.
That is really interesting, and I see that we have spoke about several ongoing initiatives, and not taking a part of from that, we are talking about the results from all these initiatives. Of course, we have so many challenges, but I see that we have so many results as well. So I'd like you to tell us, maybe in a minute, about that one something that we can celebrate about, and our viewers and listeners can actually know that apart from all the challenges we are facing, we have this one something that we can celebrate about.
Yeah, one of the things that I usually celebrate is because, I've been working, I've been doing child protection for quite a long time, okay? And now that at this stage, one of the things that amazes me much is that I see people who have been trained, who have been given opportunity, and which like it was a sort of, we created a group of child advocates, and these child advocates are now advocates, which is good because we kind of opened the door for them to go and do whatever things they thought they should be doing in order to make sure child protection was taken priority. Because we always say this, whenever there is there's flood or drought or conflict, kind of armed conflict, child protection is never a top priority. People go for food, shelter, water, and then if there is enough money, then we go for child protection. But now things are shifting, tables are shifting, plates are shifting. People understand that we need to take child protection as a priority because we have a lot of people who understand the damages that have been happening with children who have not been given this floor for them to. But then empowering children to speak out for themselves is one of the things that we do celebrate a lot, because we have them at all levels and they are doing it. Like they are standing, they are shouting out loud. They are promoting their rights. They are defending. They are protecting others. They are teaching others how to protect themselves. They are helping their peers. They are working. Now others are now working in the very same area, which means they've been built up from that moment they started being a child advocate up to this stage. So I think this is one of the things that and about we were the change makers. Okay. Yeah, I think it was the week before, like last week. Yeah, well, those young girls and boys were given awards because they were doing a very wonderful job. So this is one of the things that we think it should be celebrated, because having children fighting for themselves is good. Apart from them having Mona doing it for them, because everything about us without us is against us. So we need not to be against them. So we join them together.
Okay, so let's clap for child participation. We unfortunately are almost at the end of our interview, conversation, podcast, whatever we are calling this. But we know that this campaign is going to be running. I don't know until when, but it's continuing. I want to know what are the main challenges we still face, and what young people can do to play their role, adding to what they have been doing so far.
Yeah, one of the main challenges nowadays, which should never be a challenge, is technology.
Okay.
Technology. Because these social networkings and so on and so forth have been good platforms, but in the other side, they are harmful to children. Because for example, when I grew up, my father had almost 19% or 90% of, he was in control, 90%. My behavior was controlled by him. Me, I was built by him only. And then 10% was the society building it. Which means 99%, 10%, 100%. Nowadays, table have shifted. Me, as a parent, I have 10% control, and the society has 9%. Which means there is a huge gap between the control that my father had on me and the control that I'm having on my children. So this is one of the challenge because there are a lot of information that children have access to, which are harmful information, but then they're good information. And now that we understand that this can be harmful, having access to a lot of information can be also harmful to children. We are now trying to create capacity in our child advocates in order for them to be able to teach others how to safely use social media and use social media in a positive way, whereby they know how to select information, they know how to they know how to protect themselves, because there are a lot of risks by accessing, for example, these social media platforms that you talk to others, even though you don't know them. You have 5,000 friends that are never your friends because you don't know them, you have never seen them, and some of them, within those 5,000, some of them are there just to take advantage of you, in a sense. So we kind of teach them to teach others how to. But then, because one of other things is that one of my professors once said, "This is the end of geography, right? This is the end of geography because I don't need to go to America to talk to somebody who's in America. Just need to video call him. If I need to talk to him and see him, I just video call him. And by video calling him, then the geography is dead. There is no more geography because I can access to my bank account sitting at home. I can do my grocery sitting at home. I can go to school sitting at home. I can talk to somebody sitting at home. And this environment has been proven to be a very, very, very challenging platform for children, especially for those that don't have proper techniques or knowledge on how to be safe when online. Some other things that funding is always an issue.
Yes.
Yeah, you cannot do whatever you dream to without funding. So, we've been giving a bit of us in order to make sure things keeps going. For example, the campaign that we're talking about, the EVA campaign is going to be ending, or well, it's ending now, but then we are going to continue. Here in Mozambique, we decided to take it for one more year. But then we are going to mainstream all the interventions that we had at campaign level into our TPs and make sure we take it from there up to the end. I don't know where the end is, but then we need to make sure we continue doing what we were doing in order to make sure children are protected and they have proper knowledge on how to defend themselves.
Okay. So we are actually at the end of our podcast conversation around efforts from World Vision Mozambique as well as partners to eliminate early marriages or early unions. And despite all the progress, all the results that we've talked about, there is still so much to be done, and all of us play an important role to improve children's lives, to make a different world for them. And we all have to make something to ensure that children are the main course at the place of social actors, in the place of those who can do something to change their lives. And as our guest said, everything for us without us is against us. So it takes me, it takes you, it takes all of us to end violence against children. So I want to thank you guys for your time to listen or to watch us. I want to just greet you from wherever you are right now. Share this with friends, like this, comment, interact with us, subscribe to the channel. Say something to us. If you still have a question, just say something and we will be open and able to respond and interact with you. Thank you for your time, our guests, and I hope we can receive you some other time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.